There's really only two rules of night vision. One, it's expensive as hell. And two, you can't cheat, rule number one. Gen 3 units can go for $3,000 plus, and even my Armorsight Gen 2 device, which I hate because it's too heavy, can go for as much as $1,200 on the used market. And even the accessories can be expensive if you want good quality. It's widely known that if you spend about $100 on a red dot like this Holosun, it can be okay. But if you spend about $100 on a laser aiming module like this XK68, it's kind of a crapshoot if it's going to be reliable or hold zero. So it's tough to get into the night vision game for cheap. The guys over at Goodnight Gear saw my recent video on the HFXE and was kind of impressed with the quality of the laser for such a low price. They contacted me and actually sent me out the new NVG50 for testing with that laser aiming module, as well as see what my thoughts are on it. And while there are definitely some cons at this price point, I think if you know what you're getting yourself into, it can be a good device to own and incredibly useful. And in my opinion, I think it may just be a good camera in general. Taking a quick look at using the NVG50, things seem to be in order. The kit comes with a helmet mount in the box, which is great for keeping your total cost down. The mount is a little annoying to set up, but is usable. Just make sure to use a mirror for the first time. Controls are dead simple, with 3 buttons to control power, IR light, zoom, as well as doubling as menu controls. And the main menu is laid out well enough, with clear options to select. While we're here, it's important to note that the recordings for the NVG50's viewfinder eyepiece will be a little distorted due to the lens it uses. My GoPro has issues with showing the true output of the screen.
I'm limited by the technology of my time, but one day you'll figure this out.
It features an OLED 1440p screen that allows you to see in the dark without washed out colors. In fact, it's features like the eyepiece screen that makes me think that this is a fantastic night vision camera in general. Goodnight Gear sent me a tripod adapter to use with the NVG50, allowing me to use it for camera work. While testing for this review, having the tripod functionality gave me a great idea. I think most people's first thoughts are to start comparing budget devices like the NVG50 to more expensive analog or quote-unquote real night vision. But I think we need to take a step back and see how the NVG50 does against another budget digital camera, the Sionix Aura Black. The Aurora Black is the base model of the Aurora line, still using the Aurora camera sensor, but cutting out some unnecessary features like a compass and GPS location to save cost. Right now, you can pick up an Aurora Black for about $400, which puts it close to the NVG50 in terms of price. For my testing between the NVG50 and the Aurora Black, I used a mount to secure the cameras together to shoot video at the same time. Right off the bat, I think you can tell the difference of what 5 years of camera development can do. The Aurora's 720 image looks out of focus and blurry compared to the clear 1440p output of the NVG50. It makes perfect sense when you account for the differences between resolutions. I like describing the difference akin to using an old camera and a modern phone. The Sionix Aurora does have a lot more features to tune, like the video, brightness control, resolution control, and exposure. While the NVG50 doesn't have that capability, it looks better due to the fact that the image sensor is that much better. The video from the NVG50 just flat out beats the Aurora, and it's simpler to set up too. The only negative I have for the NVG50 in comparing it to the Aurora is frame rate. The NVG50 is capped out at 40 frames per second for the camera, which tends to cause more motion blur compared to the Aurora. The NVG50 also has better low light sensitivity compared to the Aurora. For testing, we won't be using the forest, using my bathroom. Trust me, there's a reason. With no windows, this room gets insanely dark, and that's what we'll need. Right off the bat, the Aurora looks like a mess. Sionix made some interesting decisions when tuning the image quality, and the result looks like a rave party threw up on itself. The only time you can really see anything is when the Aurora pans back to me and the GoPro's screen lights up my face. For the NVG50, the sensitivity floor is at least more consistent with less noise. You can see some of the bathroom and can eventually see me in higher quality. So, the NVG50 is looking pretty good, right? Objectively, it is a huge upgrade in every way from the Aurora, except frame rate. But there are reasons why most of the night vision community doesn't care for digital night vision. And the NVG50 has some of those issues in spades. The three evil horsemen for digital night vision are light sensitivity, frame rate, and latency. Let's go back to the bathroom. We're now looking through my Gen 2 analog nods. While there is some noise, you can definitely see more of what is going on. And my Gen 3 white phosphor PVS-14 makes it better even still. You can see every detail, and remember, this is using a 5-year-old GoPro. Trust me, it looks even better in person. Light sensitivity is an issue for digital night vision. Luckily, as long as you have supplemental infrared or IR light, you can still see. The onboard IR light on the NVG50 is pretty decent for close range tasks, but it's a good idea to have some type of flashlight or aiming module with you. Here, I'm using the SMS laser HFXE, and I'm able to see everything with no issues. The only downside is that having IR light can show your location in a tactical situation, which may or may not matter to you. The second downside is frame rate. The NVG50 is capable of 40 frames per second max, which can definitely hamper the ability to see well in the dark. Staying in a static location can mitigate this. 40 FPS is definitely enough if you're trying to look at wildlife from a standing position or if you're looking at the stars. But once you start moving, especially fast, things tend to get blurry. A good example of this being an issue is if you're running in the dark and you just drop something. The ground will look like a blurry mess. You'll have to slow down and let the image quality increase to get a better look. Analog night vision doesn't have this issue since it uses a photoelectric effect to function, making it work in real time with no frame rate. As long as your eyes can see something, it will be clear. Quick movements will also be affected by the third downside of the NVG50s, latency. For my testing, I lit a flashlight to the wall and pointed the NVG50 at that spot. With the filming camera pulled back, you can see the exact moment when I turned the light off. Counting the frames, it took 8 of them for the NVG50 to fully update from being in total darkness to showing total darkness. Using 120 frames per second slow-mo footage, it takes the NVG50 roughly 67 milliseconds to update the eyepiece. This doesn't sound too bad, however, the human eye can detect change in as little as 13 milliseconds. This is what latency means for digital night vision. I don't care what any other reviews have said, this will be noticeable. Having latency on top of a low frame rate compounds the difficulty of trying to use the NVG50s while moving. Like I mentioned earlier, staying in a static spot or moving slowly will be your friend. And in case you were wondering, the analog night vision updated so fast that the change couldn't be captured. One frame, there is light, and the next, there isn't. Which leads me to my final thoughts. In some ways, digital night vision, especially at the $500 price point, has had leaps and bounds in terms of improvements. In all honesty, the NVG50 will be replacing my Aurora for night vision footage in future videos. I wholeheartedly recommend the NVG50 as a night vision camera in 2025. The helmet mount allows a cameraman to get smooth shots, and having a tripod adapter will allow it to work like any other camera, although I did have to contact Goodnight Gear to get it. In addition to being an excellent camera, I can give a strong recommendation for the NVG50 as being a backup night vision device. Digital night vision has less stringent storage requirements compared to analog devices. You can store it in your pocket or maybe in your car in case you need them without worrying about damaging them. But the 3 evil horsemen of digital night vision are still here for the NVG50. Light sensitivity, frame rate, and latency are the prices you'll have to pay to be in the night vision game for cheap. Situations such as traversing in unfamiliar locations will be difficult, however, and training can only go so far. Another downside to using the NVG50 will be the quirks of using a Chinese product. A recent issue that popped up was that the app that works with this camera is no longer available, at least for Android. That actually sucks since the app was actually pretty decent. I want to give a big thanks to Goodnight Gear for sending me the NVG50 for review. They run a tight shop on their website, having various night vision equipment available, such as digital nods and aiming devices. In the description, you'll find a referral link to their website if you're interested, and anything you buy will help support my channel for future content. You can use the discount code NICKY for 10% off your total price, which lowers the NVG50 to under $500, one of the lowest prices you can find it for. My discount code will also work on anything Goodnight Gear sells, such as the popular Roy Vivon GL4 Pro. With everything in mind, it'll be up to you on if the NVG50 is worth it. If my testing helped you, please consider subscribing. I do various night vision related testing, as well as firearm accessories from time to time. If you want me to take a look at any specific equipment, let me know down in the comments. Until next time, have a good day, and Godspeed.